Hi. Good evening, everyone. Am I audible? At the back? Great, thank you. So my name is Anand Gautam, and I work with EkStep Foundation. Today, sorry. Yeah. So yeah, today I'm going to talk a little bit about the future of education, skilling, and livelihoods. A large part of the task has been made easier for me by people who preceded, like Pramod spoke a lot about stuff which I'm going to also mention. Vibhor and even Rahul mentioned a lot of stuff. So I might go a little faster there because they have made my job easier. But I want to focus a little bit more on what's actually happening in the education and skilling ecosystem and what the future looks like. So that's the intent. So if you look at the current reality of education, skilling, and livelihood space, we see that there is a lot of fragmentation, lot of diversity which makes it extremely challenging. Cost of verification is high, and there are inequities and systemic inefficiencies which exist. And from this paradigm, we have to shift to a paradigm which looks something like this. So to open networks and interoperability, to contextualize innovative solution, to be able to address the diversity, to enable trusted discovery, and leverage digital to create equitable access and efficient transactions. So moving from here to here, what I am going to talk about is three fundamental pillars which are needed to take us from here to there. And the first one is, instead of building solutions from scratch, leverage building blocks and leverage stuff like a lot of people have already spoken about, the power of digital public goods, digital public infrastructure. So the key is to leverage that power and build faster and scale faster rather than building from scratch. And taking an example, Rahul also mentioned a lot about Diksha. So if you look at it, Diksha over the last few years has just transformed the school education in the country. Massive scale, 5 billion plus learning sessions. There are 200,000 plus content pieces across 30 plus languages. And by far the world's largest QR code network sitting there, over 12 billion plus QR codes are physically there across more than 600 million textbooks in the hands of children and teachers, right? And what that enables is the teachers and students or even parents to simply scan a QR code and access a plethora of content. Teachers have, training material, they can have lesson plans, students have explanation content, practice, homework, and a host of other content which is available for them. So that's one. The beauty is also that all of it is open source. And the building block which it leverages, Sunbird Ed, is now multiple countries are looking at that to leverage and build something like Diksha in their own context. So the scaling, therefore, for those countries, they don't have to build it from scratch. It becomes very simple. They can just take it and run with it, adapt it for their context. The second thing which I want to talk about is we will increasingly see movement from organization working in silos to working collaboratively. And we will increasingly see in future all the facets, the governments, the societal players, and the private players, the Samaj, Sarkar, Bazaar, coming together and working together, right? And government is nudging things in the right direction. In education and skilling space, there is NDR, which came in, the National Digital Education Architecture, which Honorable Prime Minister put very succinctly as a super connector to cross-leverage ecosystem capabilities and catalyze innovation, right? Essentially, it is bringing in the ethos of talking about interoperability and building blocks and leveraging DPGs, etc., more formally in an architectural blueprint. And if I look at what that has done to the today's education landscape of the country, already if you look at the ecosystem map is extremely dense, and it is getting denser and denser. So if you look at large number of private players, NGOs, and even governments, which means state government and even central bodies like CBSE and CRT, are contributing capabilities, contributing building blocks to the ecosystem. Now, imagine a student in a remote village. He or she, using that QR code, was able to scan the Diksha app and access all the content, good content which you see. But what an ecosystem approach does and what interoperability ensures is that suddenly that student can scan the same QR code and get all his doubts solved through a private player, which is one of the best doubt-solving players in the country and is providing that service for free. If he or she has missed a class or the teacher is not available, they can just scan the QR code on the top of the chapter and access a recording of a live session taken by some of the best teachers in the country, say Vedantu or Byju's or whatever. The recordings are available, they are free again. So imagine the power which it hands to the student, which otherwise would not be possible. So this is what interoperability and ecosystem approach brings. And the third thing which I want to talk about is we will move to more and more to common protocols. And we have talked at length about backend protocol, and we have talked a lot about ONDC. So while we move ahead, just think ONDC framework, which Vibhor nicely explained, and just plug education and skilling opportunities there. And that's what pretty much we are talking here. So instead of multiple one-on-one integrations, if everybody is adhering to one common protocol, you don't need all the permutation and combination of integration. Everybody gets interconnected and the power of network gets unlocked exponentially. And what it looks like is, on the left, a lot of skill job providers, and on the right, a lot of skill seekers, job seekers, all of them being on independent platforms can connect through core central protocols which are common and become discoverable, bringing in immense efficiency in the system. While the ecosystem contributes a large number of capabilities as open source digital building blocks like credentialing, language translation, Bhashini, storage, portfolio, and a bunch of other stuff which can come in and add value on the network. And the other effort which is going on in this direction is an open source community called DACP, Decentralized Skilling and Education Protocols, which has come up to create these central protocols initially along these 4 tracks. So jobs, internships and jobs, scholarships and grants, trainings and courses, tutoring and mentorship. And I'll skip this, and I have a very short video if we can play that.
Welcome to this Figma Imagination and the story of Madhumita, who is a 20-year-old, 12-pass girl from a small town, say Patna, and she is looking to get a desk job. She wants to become a computer operator. And in future, what are all the avenues available to her to help achieve this dream? So she's able to come on this DACP network and is able to easily discover a mentor who is able to guide her exactly what kind of upskilling, what courses she should take to be able to achieve her dreams. She is able to go back and on the same network, search for the trainings which were suggested by the mentor. She is able to go and look at that and enroll for that. At the same time, she is also able to discover scholarships which are being offered, which she is eligible for, to pay for that certification program. And once she goes through that certification, she gets a verifiable credential out of it. and is able to again on the same network go and search for jobs. And she is able to look at data entry basic jobs in the area which she's looking for. And she's able to apply directly from here, apply using a digital resume. So to see what a digital resume is, if you just go back to the profile section, if you noticed, this is also like a DigiLocker equivalent sort of a wallet where all her credentials are stored, like her ID, her academic credentials, etc. So all of those are stored. And leveraging the credentials which are there, a digital resume can be created for Madhumita. And this is just +1 on the existing paper resume. You will see there is a top right QR code, which basically means that any PDF or any offline version of that resume can be easily scanned to access this digital version of the resume. And secondly, all the underlying verifiable credentials which we saw in her wallet come with a trust shield, and these bullet points become already verified. And you can always look at any of these certificates and see the actual verifiable credentials sitting behind this digital resume. So you see the future could be very much where discovery of opportunities is seamless, and applying for those also becomes extremely seamless.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just to add, while this Figma imagination, we are showing everything together, but remember, all of these services can be standalone because interoperability can be ensured through common protocols. So somebody can build a resume, somebody can build a wallet, somebody can build a discovery for one track, somebody can do for other track. But for the purpose of imagination, we were showing like this. So yeah, that's all I wanted to. Yeah.
Thank you. Hey, that was very inspiring, Rahul. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Like what you said, Samaj, Kar, and Bazaar together. That's quite interesting. Hopefully, people are finding ways to make money out of this. This looks like like a challenging situation for people who are in the private business. This is going to eat into them. But that said, this is the right way to do it. You look at what that is. So, one quick question for you before I let you go. We talked about Diksha, Vidyapan, Sunbird. I mean, there are all these platforms that's coming out. These are content providers, right? Primarily content providers. How do you connect the job opportunities? Is there platforms, open platforms that also brings that so that you can actually connect the dots?
Yeah, so that is something which will come in the future.
Evolve, yeah.
Yes, as the network evolves, right? So that will happen. And where Diksha or things like that can fit in is to provide those upskilling courses, vocational courses, etc. are also part of Diksha. So all of them can add to the fact that you can do a vocational course and then apply for a job.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you. Please, a round of applause for everyone.